as the AFC Champions League 2 reaches the business end of the competition. And tonight, Sydney FC are in pole position to advance to the semi-finals of a nation tournament for the very first time after defeating Jeonbuk Hyundai of the Korean Republic 2-0 in the first leg in Yongin, thanks to a double from their Polish striker Patryk Klimala. And talking of warmth, as you can see, it's been a warm all day in Sydney. Current temperatures of 24 degrees. It was a fair bit warmer than that this afternoon, but most of the fans bathed in the early evening shade, and conditions really was the round of 16 in the Champions League elites. That was back in 2016 when Graham Arnold was the coach. This today a very different team to back then. But as the players emerge, home fans full of expectation that their side will be good enough to see the job through and earn the club a first ever place in an Asian semi-final. Much responsibility perhaps lying on the shoulders of Douglas Costa tonight for Sydney FC. Such a talented and such an experienced player on the regional stage, largely in his earlier years, of course, in Europe with some pretty big clubs as well. Tonight he's up against one of the region's heavyweights, Asian club champions in 2006 and 2016. Let's have a look at the team news. Sydney stick with the old adage of never change a winning team. So it's the same 11 that took to the field a week ago in Yongin. Patrick Klimala's double means he's level with Anas Wahim and Adrian Segacic as the club's top scorers in this competition this season with 5. Alex Grant's arrival has steadied the team defensively. 3 straight clean sheets now at home and abroad. Douglas Costa's prompting in that floating role could be key to success tonight. And super sub Adrian Segacic again looking to make an impact off the bench. Our referee tonight is Abdullah Albari, who leads a quartet of officials, all from Qatar. And the exception is in the VAR booth, where Mohammed Taki of Singapore leads that particular team. Let's have a look at the Jeonbuk 11. They made 6 changes from the side that lost to Gangwon in the K-League at the weekend. Kim Jong-hoon is in goal. Kim Tae-hyun and 38-year-old 500-game veteran Choi Chol-sun come into the defence. Lee Yong-jae returns in midfield, while Kim Jin-gyu, who's played only 98 minutes in the Champions League 2 this season, and John Jin-woo are added to the attack. 6'4" Park Jae-yong leads the attack. Italian imports Andrea Compagno not part of the squad today, and the talented Lee Sung-woo, a former Barcelona junior, is on the bench. 2 skippers, Ryan Grant of Sydney and Park Jin-sub of Jeonbuk Hyundai, conducting the coin toss. And all the pleasantries over and done with. And we are set for what should be a fascinating 90 minutes, and who knows, maybe even a bit longer if Jeonbuk can turn this around ahead. There's Leo Senna, the Brazilian, going through his pre-match rituals, a little handshake with Patrick Klimala. Anthony Caceres, very experienced in Asian competition. This is his 35th game in these sorts of competitions throughout his long career. But Sydney as a club have never been this far and have never reached the semi-finals. They will surely never have a better chance than this. Joe Lolly in his mid-30s now. This is his first ever taste of regional competition. And so Jeonbuk Motors in the green kits and the yellow socks get us underway. History beckoning for Sydney FC, Andy Harper, but can Jeonbuk claw their way back into this tie?
Yeah, good evening, Simon. Well, they most certainly can. Last game swung on 2 very well-taken goals by Patrick Klimala, and while Sydney deserved their win, Jeonbuk certainly had a couple of good chances. One or two very good saves by Devin Ishmeers in the Sydney goal. As is often the case when two heavyweights go toe-to-toe, it could have gone either way. Sydney have their noses in front. It's a big night for the home team. In some senses, an even bigger night for Jeonbuk, who are clawing and scratching to try and relive their glory days.
Just to back up on that, Andy, I mean, I think we all know what Jeonbuk have to do tonight, but I guess the bigger question is, how does Sydney approach this? Do they protect the 2-goal lead? Do they try and get a killer third goal to put it beyond doubt?
Yeah, I don't think we can expect Sydney to be sitting back and letting fate deal the cards. I think they'll be looking to try and replicate the very positive performance of last week, and particularly using their home ground advantage, the home climate advantage, if there is one. A lot of heat descending on Sydney today. And of course, the home fans.
Alex Grant put under pressure. There is Ufuk Talay, the Sydney FC coach, looking to join a very elite band of Australian coaches tonight. Only Aurelio Vidmar, Tony Popovic and last year Mark Jackson with the Mariners have taken an A-League club into an Asian semi-final. Sent forward by Choi Chol-sun. We might not see too many changes in tactics from Jeonbuk tonight. With the 6'4" striker Park Jae-yong leading the attack. This is Jong Byung-gwan on the right-hand side, who came off the bench in the first leg. Back through Nana Boateng, who's the only import in the starting 11. Jong Byung-gwan's cross, and again they'll look to utilise that height of Park Jae-yong. That's a lovely ball by Joel King to release Joe Lolly. Patrick Klimala in place. Lolly went along the floor for the pole. Good intervention by Park Jin-suk. And then a foul by Leo Senna. Which looked to be a little bit of a sore one for Kim Tae-hyun.
Yeah, just left his foot in there. Leo Senna.
Boateng will lay off by Park Jae-yong, and away races Jong Byung-gwan on the right, and there's two in the box to try and pick out. Palmed away by Devin Ishmeers. And Kamijo just a little slow to release the ball. And now a heavy touch has handed possession back, but Jeonbuk returned the compliments. Caceres playing in Klimala, who skips away from Park Jin-suk. Doesn't have any support in the middle. Klimala has to go himself, and he wasn't too far away, the pole. He's claiming a corner, and he will get it too for Sydney.
Well, that's a very good counter-attack from Sydney on the back of a very good counter-attack from Jeonbuk. Not sure if there wasn't just a little deflection on the way to Devin Ishmeers. Kamiju was slow in clearing things. Caceres ends up getting the ball and feeding Klimala. Did very well to get past the skipper Park and then winning the corner.
Well, Kim Jong-hoon perhaps feeling he had to make the save. Here's the corner, which has worked short through Costa and Caceres. Top of the box here is Joe Lolly looking to unleash one. It's a really good stop. Down low to his left from Kim Jong-hoon.
Well, 3 good attacks on goal inside 4 minutes. It's shaping up as a good cup tie, this one. And Joe Lolly, more dangerous usually, cutting in from the flank and shooting or crossing, but rolling this one, letting this one roll across his body, centre of the goal, forcing a very good bit of work from Kim in the Jeonbuk goal.
Nobody picked up Joe Lolly on the edge of the penalty area. He's there again. Caceres, perhaps though crucially, is being watched ahead of any potential short corner by Douglas Costa. So we might see a more orthodox delivery once the referee is ready, which he is now. No, again they go short. Work back for Senna. Back wide for Caceres, little heavy on the release. Costa kept it in play though. Lolly happy to let the ball run out for a throw. Well, good bright start to this second leg of the AFC Champions League 2 quarter-final. First time ball by Costa. Caceres always comfortable under pressure. Costa angles it in. I fancy that Klimala might have taken it away from Lolly there, unbeknowingly.
I think you're right, just a breakdown in communication there. Three big guns spearheading the Sydney attack. Costa aiming for Lolly, but Klimala couldn't help himself. So hungry for action is the pole. Good goal scoring form recently.
Kamijo just being held by Kim Jin-gyu. Lolly. It's a risky ball from Joe Lolly. Straight at Kim Jin-gyu for Jeonbuk. Credit to him. Didn't he atone for his error well? And now Klimala looking to spring the offside trap. There's no flag against the pole. It's Patrick Klimala! Oh, that's a great finish! He's done it again! 2 goals in Yongin, and it's only taken him 7 minutes to get his 3rd of the tie and his 6th in the ACL2 this season. Has that put the tie beyond Jeonbuk's reach?
Well, it's an awesome finish from Klimala. Jeonbuk defenders are still claiming offside. It all starts from a good work back from Joe Lolly after giving the ball away. He wins it beautifully. I think he's drifted offside. Not conclusive on the moment the ball was struck, but from there on, it's just a stunning finish from Klimala. He's in good nick in front of goal. And both teams now wait with bated breath.
Well, I'll tell you what, over the course of these 2 legs, Patrick Klimala has produced 3 finishes that are absolutely top quality. VAR, of course, is going to check on that offside. So Sydney's celebrations may yet be cut short. But for now, they have a 3-goal advantage. And how important is this VAR check?
Well, talk about game changing. Talk about
for both
tie changing. Yeah.
Stadium waits with bated breath. Here we go. Offside. Well, your initial instinct was correct, Andy. To be honest, I fancied he might have been on. It must have been very tight.
Yeah. Well, the only replay we've seen showed that he'd probably drifted offside, but that depends on when the ball is hit. Very close.
That's how tight it was.
Geez, there's not much in that. What a waste of a great finish. But I tell you, Jeonbuk very relieved. Their defensive line, high as it was, remains unpunctured officially.
I'll talk about living on the edge. The 2 times Asian champions. Can they use that little moment of perhaps, you could say, good fortune? I'm sure the defenders will just say good timing. It's a little high by Yon Jae-un, but it's kept in play by Jung Byung-gwan. Sydney have it back though through Kamijo, and now Lolly. That's behind Klimala. Sent wide for Kim Tae-hyun. And a Sydney FC throw. Sometimes, Andy, on those small moments can ties hinge. I mean, we saw in the first leg, Patrick Klimala scored 2 excellent goals, but probably should have had a third.
Was a great bit of work in goal on that third chance. You're right, Simon. Song, who was the keeper this time last week. What a remarkable save, actually, to stop it being 3-0.
This is Jeonbuk forward to Boateng. Kamijo on the backside, I think. And now Caceres looking to get moving. Good tracking back from Jeonbuk, but quickly dispossessed are Jeonbuk. Centre. Leaving it for Costa. Now the two Grants combining, Ryan and Alex. It's a lovely flick by Caceres. Courtney Perkins. Centre available. Kamijo. Sydney moving the ball about quite nicely. Costa. Ryan Grant. Costa driven back by Boateng. Centre. Driving run forward, and he wins a lot of fouls like that, Leo Centre.
And I think he was just about to release the ball to Courtney Perkins, who was in a very advanced and good position down on the left-hand side. It's just a straight yank back from Jeonbuk. Might have attracted a yellow card. It's very cynically killed an attacking opportunity. Referee showing patience at this point.
Douglas Costa on set-piece duty. Looking to launch it towards Ryan Grant at the back post. Headed away by Jeonbuk. Sydney will go again through Kamijo. Costa. Courtney Perkins had drifted in field. I think Costa was hoping that he was going to be wide left. Give Sydney a bit of width in that attack. He's done well to put pressure on Jeonbuk.
He covered the ground pretty well, didn't he, Courtney Perkins, because he was just the recipient of that pass to which you referred from Costa. Whom I think he was expecting that to be Leo Centre. He mightn't have angled that ball into Courtney Perkins, but gee, he mowed it onto that far touchline to win the contest for the throw-in.
That's a goal kick. Final touch off Anthony Caceres. And a Boateng's job to keep him quiet. Perhaps today there's Gus Poyet. Legendary name from his playing days. Bit of an indifferent start to his time with Jeonbuk. In fairness, he's got a big rebuilding job on his hands after last season's struggles. This is Jeonbuk. Tale, holding the pressure applied by Joe Lolly. Now 5¼ hours and counting since Sydney FC last conceded a goal. If the defence is coming good, maybe the throw-ins need a bit of work.
Yeah, well, it clearly landed in and then stayed in, so I'm not sure when it went out, unless...
Not sure Gus Poyet knew either.
No, he found that quite comical.
Strength by Klamala. That ball has gone out of play, though.
I don't know if it's possible for Joel King, the taker of that throw-in, to put enough work on the ball to get it to curl in and out or out and in. At any rate, on we go.
Some bit too high for Kim Tae-hyun, and it's presented possession back to Sydney in the shape of Caceres. Camijo, Senna. Back by Costa for Camijo, who's retained his spot in Sydney's midfield despite the presence of Corey Holman back from injury.
Well, Sydney certainly have carved out significant territorial dominance, holding most of the ball as well. Won't necessarily phase Jeonbuk. The big target they're happy to hit direct in the centre forward Buck. And John Byung-Gwan, just playing to the right of him, the number 33, has shown a very clean pair of heels. He can certainly move quickly. So they'll get support forward quickly. They'll transition quickly. Jeonbuk be largely untroubled by Sydney having a lot of the ball in the mid-third of the field.
However, it is goals they need tonight. I mentioned Sydney FC's defensive record, over 5 hours since they conceded. It's also now over 5 hours since Jeonbuk scored. Last goal came against Ports in the round of 16. Senna earning another free kick, and he wanted to take it quickly. Referee wasn't of a mind to let him.
That's poor refereeing. And the only team that gets penalised there is the team that got the free kick. Neither of the Jeonbuk players looked to retreat the 10 metres. And then when Sydney managed to take the free kick, the ref wasn't happy with that either.
Here's Lee Yong-jae, nicely steered out wide by Park Jae-yong. The switch just a little bit overhit. Chance for John Jin-woo to reel that one in. Playing on the left wing today, John Jin-woo. He was on the right in the first leg in Yongin. Celebrated his 100th K-League appearance against Gangwon at the weekend. Camijo feeling that challenge by Choi Chul-soo was a little bit rudimentary. Referee not interested. Kim Jin-gyu with lovely release. Find Kim Tae-hyun, who went early. Went way over the top.
Well, it's the second pass from Jeonbuk that's broken down. They've switched the point of attack very effectively. But it's the delivery back across the field on the last two attacks. This time, Kim Tae-hyun is overcooking that one badly. And stretching Sydney very, very effectively.
Jeonbuk have got plenty of supporters here this evening. 159,000 people of Korean heritage in Australia. The majority do live in the state of New South Wales, where this game's being played. Nam Jae-un holds that attack up, but only momentarily. Klebala in a mood to shoot whenever he gets a chance. Goalkeepers come out to meet him. Still with Klebala. He went to try and square it up for Joe Lolly. That passing lane was closed. One back high, though, by Caceres. Camijo. Lolly. Lolly again. That's a foul on Lee Yong-jae.
A couple of heavy touches there for Sydney, not ending up testing the Jeonbuk defence, particularly Kamala, who did so well to dig out that possession. Should have, in hindsight, probably, if he looked at it, when he does look at it, should have taken the high percentage option and given the ball straight to Anthony Caceres. It never quite got going for Sydney thereafter. Jeonbuk held their nerve, defended well, cleared the danger.
Jingyu again looking for that switch out to the right-hand side. It's actually worked out all right for Jeonbuk via the mistake off Jordan Courtney Perkins. Here's the Jeonbuk skipper, Park Jin-suk. And now Yeon Jae-un out for Choi Chul-soon. Jin-woo to Boateng. Lee Yong-jae. It's slightly overhit, but this one is tracked down well by Choi Chul-soon. Leo Senna screening pretty well for Sydney. And is then impeded.
Well, again, just to re-emphasise how just need to recalibrate their technique. Jeonbuk, this is the last pass down to this part of the field, which sent Choi on his bike from Lee Yong-jae. A sweeter left foot probably doesn't exist in the Asian Champions League. I'm going to suggest of either the Elite League or ACL2. But even he overhit that one. Otherwise, it was a great opening for Jeonbuk, and you'd have to say if you're Sydney, Jeonbuk have opened the space nicely. It's the passes that have let them down ultimately. And if they just land one, Sydney finding it hard to close those wider corridors, just land one of those passes, Jeonbuk score, and the cup tie takes on a completely different hue.
Here's Kim Jingyu. Killed by Jeon Jin-woo, was read by King. Sydney can just take a little breather. Mentioned Sydney's home record in Asian competition. Played in Australia in Asian tournaments on 23 occasions. They've won only 6 of those matches. But they've lost only 5, 12 have been draws. And of course, this tie has a whole different complexion because another draw would be good enough for Sydney. Even a 1-0 defeat would see them through. I'm sure they would prefer to be much more comfortable than that. Lolly showing for the throw, ignored by Courtney Perkins. Here is Lolly, who somehow stole a metre of space, but then gave the ball away. Kim Jingyu. Lee Yong-jae to open things up. Now Choi Chul-soon for Jeonbuk. 38 years of age, been with the club since 2006. First player to reach 500 K-League appearances. Boateng. Courtney Perkins has time here. Oh, and he's given the ball away carelessly. Jeon Byung-kwan is brought down the edge of the box. That's going to be a yellow card for Alex Grant. Jordan Courtney Perkins got his team in all sorts of bother there.
Jordi, an unforced error. And Jeon Byung-kwan, who's been very, very dangerous, referred to his speed already. Too much for Alex Grant, who brings him down. Outside the box, picks up the yellow card. Poor error from Courtney Perkins.
Alex Grant now in the position where he's going to have to think twice. Sydney, from a pretty harmless looking situation, have to defend a very dangerous-looking free kick. Just taking place right in front of the cove where Sydney FC's most vocal supporters are situated. It's going to be Lee Yong-jae to deliver with that wand of a left foot. And the height and the set piece being provided by the 6'4" Park Jae-yong. And Yeon Jae-un, the number 94. Not too much smaller, just behind him. All about the quality of the delivery. It goes to the edge of the box and it was struck by Kim Jin-gyu, but not with any real power or purpose. And that'll be the goalkeepers. And Sydney survive.
It opened up into a very nice shooting opportunity for Jin-gyu. Ball was delivered beautiful way from Lee Yong-jae. Nervous moment for Sydney. Safely navigated.
And how many times in past years, Andy, have we seen little moments like that for Australian clubs come back to bite them? Little mistakes in possession, those 1%ers that at the highest level you get punished for.
Yeah, that has been a story. So qualifying teams out of the A-League found themselves to be very competitive between the penalty areas, but concentration and quality too often against visiting teams or their opponents in Asia has done them undone. They find themselves in this unusual situation at the moment, which I'm sure they're relishing. 2-0 up against the might of Jeonbuk. But it's not going to be plain sailing.
Jeonbuk just edging ahead in terms of the stats, possession and the accuracy of their passing. There's not an awful lot in it, and they've had one mighty scare, of course, when Patrick Klimala did find the back of the net on 7 minutes, but ruled out by VAR for offside. Here's Boateng. Nodded back by Kim Tae-hyun. Lee Yong-jae. Boateng. Insoccer looking to hit the front runners. Rebounds off Jong Byung-gwan and out for a Sydney FC throw.
An awkward bump for Joe Lolly. And again, moving the ball over halfway well, Jeonbuk, but losing quality as they get around Sydney's penalty area, or at least into the final third. It's a nervous type display from them, trying to overturn this 2-goal deficit.
And of course, Andy, Jeonbuk are also missing all their big-name import players. There's no Andrea Campagno tonight. Hernandez, Andrigo, Thiago Orobo, none of whom have travelled to Australia. A disagreement between Abdullah Almari and Gus Poyet. Klimala felt he was wrestled to the floor by Yeon Jae-un. Referee saw nothing untoward. And this is Kim Tae-hyun. Boateng. Park Jin-suk. Now they'll look for that long ball to the flanks again. It's going to pay dividends. Tracked down by Kim Tae-hyun, who earns a throw.
The last 5-10 minutes, Jeonbuk have had the Lions' share of possession and really making Sydney work as they...
Here's Kim Jin-gyu. That's going to be a corner off Leo Senna.
With Great efficiency switch from right flank to left flank. And this is all accumulating, all this extra coverage as they protect their zone, Sydney. All the extra running it accumulates. Got control of things at the moment, Jeonbuk. Not on the scoreboard, of course. But this part of the game, they're looking very dangerous indeed.
It's going to be Kim Jin-gyu's corner, the outswinger. And it was nodded just wide of the goal in the end. Park Jae-yong, 6'4" frame, very similar to Compagno in the first leg. He was always a threat at set pieces.
And continuing the trend, Compagno won everything that was sent his way inside the penalty area, forcing a couple of good saves at least from Devenish-Mears, and Park is enjoying similar dominance.
There's Jeonbuk, and the cross is an awkward one, and the first shot on target comes from the head of Jeon Jin-woo, but safely pouched by Harrison Devenish-Mears for Sydney.
Again, nicely in behind. Courtney Perkins curling the ball back. Jeon Jin-woo stooping in nicely. Routine for Devenish-Mears otherwise.
Sydney FC have been warned. Joel King with the intervention there, but not to any great effect for Sydney. Now they must wish that goal from Klimala had counted. Ryan Grant had to make that. Lolly will prevent the throw. Forward towards Costa, who looked to be being held back there by Yeon Jae-un.
Oh, completely was. I'm not quite sure how the match officials missed that. Unless they thought Costa gave a bit to start with.
Boateng. Looking for and finding Choi Chul-sun. Ryan Grant too strong for Jeon Jin-woo.
I just think Sydney, as they maintain their mid-third block, I'm not quite sure what was legal about that bit of defending.
That was the previous one on Patrick Klimala. It's maybe a couple he's got away with.
Now there's Sydney 10 minutes from half-time. Now having to protect the game without having possession of the ball, and they do, as a team, prefer to dominate with the ball. And they're going to have to pay some attention, I think, to Nana Boateng, who is just able, in the centre of Jeonbuk's midfield, to pick up the ball from defence or whoever chooses to give it, get his head up and hit these 30, 40, 50-metre crossfield passes, which then means Sydney have to work hard to cover the space.
Just a slight delay before the throw-in was taken. We had a second ball on the field, which needed to be removed. Here's Klimala. Errant pass from the pole. Boateng. Again, looking over the top and again finding Jong Byung-gwan. Back through Kim Tae-hyun. Clever run by Kim Jin-gyu. And the cutback. Oh, it's a brilliant finish from Jeon Jin-woo. It's been coming for Jeonbuk. And that is some strike from the winger, who seems to have been injured in the celebrations. But the Jeonbuk fans don't care. They're back in this tie. They lead tonight by a goal to nil. And it's back to 2-1 to Sydney on aggregate.
Well, it's a terrific finish. I'm really surprised that Sydney haven't made the adjustment. Again, this started deep in the Jeonbuk midfield. Nana Boateng is able to ping the ball 40, 50 metres. That'll be onside. Joel King is playing one onside. It's a really good finish with the right foot from Jeonbuk. And they have been building pressure and mounting their case. Very, very good finish. And Sydney haven't paid any attention whatsoever to stopping the origin of the Jeonbuk threat, and that's the long pass out of centre midfield. He's having a field day, Boateng, in there.
Well, that puts a completely different complexion on this two-legged tie. Sydney's record of clean sheets has gone. Clock stopping at 5 hours and 41 minutes when Jeonbuk ended that streak of clean sheets for the Sky Blues. And the goal scorer just having some spray applied, and the referee not particularly happy that he didn't seek his permission to get it. Just got a whack from a teammate, I think, in the moment of celebrating the goal. Which clearly caused a bit of damage. Now, Sydney FC show signs of nerves here. Jeonbuk had been building to that moment. They are dictating the play. Boateng. Again, the tactic.
There's just no urgency from Sydney. I mean, it's not even close to once bitten, twice shy. Everything is coming from Boateng. He's spraying the ball into the corridors where Sydney haven't patrolled. They have to then turn and chase. The goal came from it. Other chances have come from it. And there's no pressure whatsoever on the deep-lying midfielder playing for Jeonbuk.
Another unforced error from Jordan Courtney-Perkins. He's having a bit of a torrid time of it at the moment. Sydney FC left back. And these must be worrying moments for Ofuktale. Jeonbuk in full control of the game, if not yet the tie. Boateng. Lee Yong-jae. Sydney fouling in the process of trying to win the ball back. Camacho's kicked the ball away, got to be careful doing that. All signs of the sorts of stress that they are under. Here's the dangerous Jeon Byung-gwan. Kim Tae-hyun. Jeonbuk. It's a clever lead by Kim Jin-gyu. Jeonbuk. They force the space here for Choi Chul-sun on the left. Back through Yeon Jae-un. Goes for the switch. Jeon Byung-gwan. Goal kick. Sydney are relieved that it is just a goal kick.
They're looking very, very strong, Jeonbuk. They're looking like the historic champions that they've been domestically and on the continent. And that's the goal that's breathed life into their hopes and actually put Sydney back even a couple of more squares. You know, they're really playing the home team as though they can't wait for half-time.
Bit of friendly fire from Yeon Jae-un on the goal scorer. Nice no-look free kick from Leo Sena. Stumbled by Joe Lolly.
Of course, errors in possession are like that, are not helping the cause. Sydney not able to settle at all in the front third. Poor passes, poor touches. Jeonbuk have almost completely wrested control of the match.
Well, he did say pre-game, despite the fact that many of his senior stars have not travelled, this team is more than capable of getting the result they need. This scoreline, of course, not quite enough to take them through. Still a long way to go. It's that little battle. A break here for Costa. Lolly. Sydney need a spell of possession. Alex Grant. Caceres first to show. Courtney Perkins. Camijo. Senna. Lolly. Looks better for Sydney. Lolly getting the cross in. Oh, and the deflection could have been awkward for Kim Jong-hoon. In the end, took all the pace out of it.
But it was better for Sydney. They can make the passes stick and they can build pressure again, as shown in this last attack. Fortuitous off Nana Boateng. On that occasion, better from the home team, the first in quite some time from them.
Tae-hyun racing to keep the ball alive. Boateng again looking for that release for Jong Byung-gwan on the right. Oh, a little slip on takeoff this time by the Ghanaian-born Nana Boateng. Senna just delaying the release. Costa. Costa again. This looks better for Sydney. Little angle ball for Caceres. Behind him is Camijo. Gonna have a go here. Good try. That's the best we've seen from Sydney for some time in attack.
Look at the shot away in the end from Camijo. He's almost got vertigo getting that far forward, and he backs himself from the stationary position. Douglas Costa frustrated more, didn't come out of that. Sydney had set. Last two opportunities in possession, Sydney have been able to properly attack the Jeonbuk penalty area and look much more threatening, obviously, when they just keep control of the ball. They've handed, I'd say probably for the last 20 minutes, up until those two attacks, everything to Jeonbuk, who were running the show, got their goal.
Douglas Costa's turned the ball over. Boateng. Park Jin-sop. And Kim Jin-yoon. Yeon Jae-un. Wide it goes for Choi Chol-sun. Beyond him is the big central defender, Yeon Jae-un. Good tackle by Senna. Spin almost deceived Joel King. Final minute of the first half. I fancy Ufuk Talay in particular might not be too disappointed to hear the half-time whistle.
In as much as he'll want to get some freshness into his team and some information, you'd imagine, because although Jeonbuk haven't laid siege to the Sydney goal, they've shown that they're only one completed attack away from really hurting Sydney.
Foul by Anthony Caceres. See him join Alex Grant in referee Abdullah Almari's notebook. The first of 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half. Yeah, mistimed by Caceres, he knew it.
Yeah, it was pretty late. which I think ultimately was what cooked Anthony Caceres, put him into the referee's book.
Well, a second goal for Jeonbuk now in first half stoppage time really would set the cat among the pigeons. Lee Yong-jae and Kim Jin-yu deciding which one will take it. AFC with the high defensive line. It will drop as Kim Jin-yu delivers. Came off Joel King rather scruffily and behind for a corner.
It wasn't overly convincing defending from Sydney, but the goal was protected, at least for now.
So I fancy it was Courtney Perkins who got the final touch. Joel King certainly swung a leg at the ball. Lee Yong-jae to deliver the corner. Now they scatter. And it's a brilliant save from Devonish Mears to claw it away and deny Park Jae-yong what would have been an equalising goal over the two legs. Terrific stop.
Well, it's deja vu all over again for Jeonbuk. Compagno last week forced a similar type save from Devonish Mears, and Jae-yong. That's wonderful work from Devonish Mears. Excellent to keep Sydney's advantage.
Still the follow-up corner to come. Half-time whistle not too far away. Kim Jin-yu's delivery in towards an near post, and Sydney deal with that one. I think it was Douglas Costa who got good distance on his header. Back in by Lee Yong-jae. Still plenty forward here for Jeonbuk. It's Boateng who hits the post. And maybe it got a touch off the goalkeeper as well, because the linesman has indicated it's going to be a corner. And Jeonbuk are hammering at the door here. Another corner for the Koreans, over the heads of the goalkeeper, and Devonish Mears can't hold on to it, and they're all square. Jeonbuk Motors, John Jin-woo at the double, and maybe with the final play of the first half, it's 2-0 on the night for the K-League outfit, and all square at 2-2 on aggregate.
Well, Sydney's passiveness defensively is on full show here. Devonish Mears having saved brilliantly to concede the corner, having to just dig the ball out off Boateng. No Sydney players supporting the keeper. And it's a double for John Jin-woo, who can hardly miss from there. Courtney Perkins misjudges the flight of the ball. Harrison Devonish Mears digs the first chance out. No Sydney defenders reacting, but John Jin-woo did exactly that.
Now VAR is going through the checks for offside against John Jin-woo. Sydney praying for a reprieve here.
Can't see one coming. I think it was Joel King on the first post defending the corner who was deep enough to play John Jin-woo onside.
Well, we've had one goal disallowed in this opening 45, which went against Sydney. Will this one go for them? Yeah, goal confirmed, as we suspected. And there's near silence apart from the Jeonbuk contingent. And you've got to say, on the strength of Jeonbuk's performance in the first half, they deserve to be all square. That is half-time at the Sydney Football Stadium. What a first 45 by Gus Poyet's team. 2 goals for Jeonbuk, who was celebrating his 100th K-League appearance at the weekend. He's celebrating 2 goals here tonight. Sydney had 1 ruled out for an offside on Patrick Klimala, but they need to regroup in the second half. 2-0 to Jeonbuk at the break. All square on aggregate. Stanfrecce Hiroshima. And of course they do have super sub Adrian Segicic on the bench, although he's being kept in cold storage just for the moment. As for Jeonbuk, perhaps taking inspiration from their compatriots Gwangju last night. They too trailed 2-0 in the Champions League Elite to Vissel Kobe. Came back to win 3-2 on aggregate. So Sydney FC get the ball rolling for the second and crucial half of 45 minutes. No changes made by either coach, but I'm sure some sort of change required by Ufuk Talay, the Sydney FC coach, Andy Harper.
Yeah, change of mentality when Sydney don't have the ball. We referred to it, just way too passive to get rid of those errors in possession. It's a bad start for Sydney.
And they've given the ball away, and Jeon Jinwoo is in. Oh, that's a great stop to deny Jeon Jinwoo a hat-trick. Harrison Devonish-Mears somehow readjusted and diverted the ball away with his foot. Brilliant save.
Well, I think it's Ryan Grant who's given the ball up. I think last week's match in the 2-0 win away was Harrison Devonish-Mears' best game for Sydney. He's matching that tonight. His second outstanding save to keep Sydney alive.
Sydney immediately under pressure. Jeonbuk attacking the end of the ground where their fans are. Park Jin-sub had a swing at it and really make the right connection. Back in by Choi Chul-soon. Kamijo's going to have to go and chase. Lee Yong-jae there ahead of him. Only briefly though. Look at the energy from Jeonbuk. They've won the ball back high up the field again.
Well, they're such tough competitors, the teams out of the Korea Republic. Great athletes as well. And they're playing nice football, good possession football, moving Sydney around and making the most of Sydney's passivity, which needs to be corrected if they're to prevail here in this second leg. That, and they probably need a little bit more from Douglas Costa.
They've got to get the ball to him first.
Important detail, that.
Well, if Jeonbuk were to complete the comeback, it would be another rich chapter in their Asian story. Champions League Elite winners twice, 2006, 2016. They're so experienced at this level in Asia. This is their 17th campaign in AFC competition. Their 152nd game. They've been in these situations plenty of times before. That's a foul on Leo Senna. Asking for a card for his opponents, which is not going to be forthcoming. Lolly. Senna. Klimala. Managed just about to get it back to his captain, Ryan Grant. Here's Caceres. Kamijo. Back through Alex Grant. Senna. Wide left is Jordan Courtney-Perkins. Caceres. Sydney have constructed this nicely. Can they find the right delivery? Courtney-Perkins gets another go. Kamijo. Touched by Costa. Senna. Caceres. Forced to turn back out, and now Douglas Costa had a bit of pace on it, that ball, which made it difficult for the Brazilian to wrap his boot around it.
He showed that he's got the speed, maybe not in the abundance of a few years ago, but he's got the speed when he needs it, and he really had to put in some big ones there to make anything of that at all. Routine from Kim Jong-hoon in the Jeonbuk goal. This is danger again for Sydney. Beautiful ball.
Park Jae-yong does well to control it as well and feed it out towards Jeon Jin-woo. This is Kim Jing-yu. Now Choi Chol-sun. And a test for the goalkeeper. Good punch away by Devonish Mears. Exactly what Sydney needed from their goalkeeper. And here's Klamala. Good sliding challenge though from Yeon Jae-un, who's seemingly injured himself in the process. Fallen awkwardly on the hand. Here's the chance that preceded that injury.
Good punch away from Devonish Mears. Just catches the finger, does Klamala.
Yep. Throbs a bit, doesn't it? You get studs on your fingernail. Jeon Jin-woo has got a problem with cramp. Tale taking the advantage of the little break in play to issue some further instructions.
Well, it's a long way from the tape here to be going down with cramp 5 minutes after half time.
To be fair, he can point to the scoreboard and say to his coach, that's why we're 2-0 up. So he scored both goals, not that player. It's the damage done by Patrick Klamala's boot to Yeon Jae-un. Jeon Ji-woo's still down with cramp.
The on-field trainers, I think, have called for a substitution. This is taking an extraordinarily long period of time. That's a nasty one for Yeon Jeon. The ref's unperturbed. He's pretty happy to have a stroll around the centre of the field.
Jeon Jin-woo doesn't look as though he's going to be able to continue. There's going to be a change made here. An Hyun-bom is going to be the replacement for the double goal scorer for Jeonbuk. Sydney are going to go to their bench as well. Adrian Segicic and Corey Holman have both been summoned. Very long break in play. Joe Lolly's number is called. He'll be replaced by Adrian Segicic and Wataru Kamijo by Corey Holman. Thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, Sydney need a spark. Joe Lolly's not looked fresh tonight. And Kamijo's run very hard. For Tale not waiting terribly. It's an extraordinary long stoppage, that one.
And the new man replacing the double goal scorer, Jeon Jin-woo. What a big impact he's had on this tie, especially in this second leg. Once had a trial at PSV Eindhoven back in the day. And there's replacement, one-time capped South Korean international, Korean Republic international, I should say, An Hyun-bom. Here is Kim Jing-gyu, back through his captain, Park Jin-sop. Byung-gwan looking to put pressure on Ryan Grant. Little nudge into the back of the Sydney FC skipper. And a goal kick is the end result. Byung-gwan has now gone out onto the left-hand side for Jeonbuk with newly arrived An Hyun-bom on the other flank.
Swap their fullbacks over too. Choi's come from left back to right back.
Yeah, Kim Tae-hyun, who's gone out onto the other flank, can play both roles with relative comfort.
Perhaps expecting Segacic maybe to be a little more sprightly than Joe Lolly. Hence the change from Gus Poyet.
Kim Jin-gyu getting the boost from the home fans. He was a little slow to get back on to the field of play. And that little break, lengthy as it was, might just suit the home side, because Jeonbuk had come out the second half and pretty much picked up where they left off in the first. It's a good ball by Senna. Segacic had drifted into a nice little pocket of space, bringing Douglas Costa into play. And Costa firing one in. Something out of nothing and requiring the save out of Kim Jong-hoon.
Well, that's a better structured attack. Senna dropping deep to receive the ball and angling to the inside right position. And Segacic had got on the advantage side of Nana Boateng really nicely. Then they can give the ball to their money man, Douglas Costa, who skips inside. Geez, that was curling in. Excellent work from Kim Jong-hoon.
Gives Sydney FC a rare corner, which Douglas Costa takes. Now the break perhaps on for Jong Yong-guan. Showing great speed across the ground. Requiring Joel King to come across and help Ryan Grants. Corey Holman, little glance over the shoulder to see where his opponent was. Both teams knowing now any slip could be fatal. Segacic, heavy touch though. Those need to stick for Sydney.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's been on fire. Segacic, that was poor technique. The field had opened up completely on the right-hand side for Sydney.
Good pressure applied by Courtney Perkins on Nan Hyun-bom. Costa. Oh, he's done really well, Douglas Costa. Now Klimala. And still forced around the outside by Yeon Jae-un. And support now from King. Squared up for Courtney Perkins. Caceres. Senna. Segacic. Just held back by Nana Boateng, and that low centre of gravity could be useful for Sydney. Up against the more powerful Nana Boateng. Another foul in favour of the home side.
Well, there's been a lot of fouls. Most of them pretty innocuous. But you just wonder how much patience the ref's going to have. I mean, Senna's been yanked down on 3 or 4 occasions. There's been other players who've been pulled down. There's another example. It shouldn't go unpunished. Ufuk Talay is prosecuting that case with the 4th official right at this moment, I'd say.
Here's Abdul Hadi Al-Rawali from Qatar. Still going through that discussion. Here's Costa with the free kick. Towards the back post. It should be a goal for Sydney. It is. Alex Grant, who used to play in the K-League for Pohang Steelers, brings it back to 2-1 and gets Sydney noses in front again. 3-2 on aggregate in the tie.
Well, Sydney amassed their troops at the far post, and Douglas Costa whips the ball in with incredible curl. Very difficult to deal with. Look at this dip and swerve. And Ryan Grant is the accidental assistant. He gets his body there, doesn't know much about it, the Sydney skipper. But he manages to bounce the ball somehow back, square across the goal. And there's the latest of the Sydney recruits, Alex Grant, who manages to force the ball home and give Sydney the lead.
Well, it's his first goal. And how vital could it prove to be for Sydney on what's proven to be perhaps a much more difficult night than they expected. Goal confirmed. There are one or two home fans who are waiting rather nervously for that whistle to go. Well, what a final 30 minutes we've got now. Jeonbuk once again back chasing the tie. This is Kim Tae-hyun with Costa in hot pursuit. Lee Young-jae stepping into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Here's Caceres. It's behind Segicic. Now does Sydney have the composure to finish the job? Or will Jeonbuk come again? You wouldn't rule them out.
No, they're too strong. They're too proud. They're too good. But Sydney, yes, they've got their noses in front and on the scoreboard, and a belief is back.
Another foul on Leo Senna. Been quite a few tonight. As yet unpunished. Gus Poyet has got a bit more thinking to do.
And the Jeonbuk officials now are going to the fourth official, claiming that Sydney are wasting time. It's on here at the football stadium.
I heard the message loud and clear from the Jeonbuk coach. Boys, the same. Play the way you've been doing. And to be fair, the way they played has been pretty good.
Yeah, they've done well. I mean, very difficult assignment. A team not in great form domestically. Beaten at home. Beaten for the first time last week by Sydney ever that Sydney been able to.
First time they've ever lost to Australian opposition in Asian competition. They are on the move again here. Jong Byung-gwan leaving it for Kim Tae-hyun. And the cross was dealt with by Ryan Grant. Segicic needs to hold the ball up. Senna too. Devin to put his boot through it. Taking no risks.
And you're looking at moments that bookmark matches. What about that save from Devin Ishmael, start of the second half, Simon? 3-2. Jeonbuk would have to be favourites to sail it home from there. Such is their pedigree as a football club. Devin Ishmael is doing his job. And Sydney scratch back the lead. Game still so delicately poised.
King. A hospital ball for Costa, but he managed to make it into a good one. Senna trying to calm things down. He's so good at getting those fouls, Leo Senna. But surely the referee, there have been so many on the Brazilian tonight, has got to at some point take action.
You'd think so. You'd think so. Just a handful of the shirt. It's been all night. I'm not quite sure what particular invitation the ref is waiting for, but it's been a very competitive but otherwise very mannered match.
Here's Costa. Taunting Kim Tae-hyun. King. Holman. Segicic. Back wide it goes for Costa. Sydney working the triangles quite nicely. That's lovely football. Caceres comes away with the ball and finds the angle for the shot, but it's straight at Kim Jong-hoon. who is then barged over by Patrick Klimala.
It was a better chance than Caceres actually made there. Beautifully worked from Sydney, and it is a fascinating contrast in approaches by both teams. Jeonbuk, when they have possession, stretch the field as wide as they can. Wingers deployed right on each touchline. Here's that effort from Caceres. Boateng putting enough pressure on, but really should have done better from there, Anthony Caceres. Sydney, by contrast, do enjoy to compress their attack, keep players in close proximity. And a great example of the reason why they do that was that last attack. It was beautifully fluid, pass and move, and the chance opened up. Now, with the expanse created by the setup for Jeonbuk, they look to break.
Jeonbuk quickly back on the ball, turned back by Lee Yong-jae. That's his Choi Chul-sun on the near touchline. Veteran of many Asian campaigns, Lee Yong-jae. Sweep it out majestically towards that far side, and Kim Tae-hyun cross too flat, steered away by Corey Holman. There will be some nervous moments to come, no doubt, for Sydney as they try and see this one out. Really, their best insurance policy will be to go and score a second goal if they can. There's Kim Jin-gyu. Lee Yong-jae to Nana Boateng. Choi Chul-sun. Lee Yong-jae again. And that little threaded ball through for the substitutes. It's there, it's 3-1. But the flag's gone up against Ahn Hyun-bom, which may just come to Sydney FC's rescue. It was a beautifully crafted goal, but the flag popped up immediately against Ahn Hyun-bom.
Well, he's adamant he was onside, clearly, as our cameras are capturing. But this is very... oh, that's tight. You know, this is exactly like the Bangkok United goal to equalise late in the round of 16. Right at this stadium, almost to the blade of grass. And it was Joel King on that occasion keeping the attack on side, and it might be a similar fate here.
Well, they're still going through the checks. Mohamed Taki of Singapore leading the VAR team. I'm with you, Harps. It's a tight one. My gut feeling is that he's just offside, but we don't have the access to the technology that the VAR does. So we wait to see. Because Poyet was complaining about the length of time it took VAR.
He's consistent
to make a decision.
Just offside. To his credit, Gus Poyet, consistent. That was part of his address to the media last night against the VAR, and even though that was to his advantage, he said, if it's offside, let's just get on with it. Here, very, very tight. Very tight. That's a narrow escape for Sydney, and as it stands, it's a disallowed goal apiece.
Tale adamant that should be a Sydney FC throw, but he's going to be disappointed. There's all sorts going on in those two technical areas at the moment. Indicative of the high stakes and just the way that this tie is poised at the moment.
And it's such a huge opponent for Sydney, Jeonbuk. And they're still in a Jeonbuk. And there's still plenty of time.
Courtney Perkins has tricked his way past Ahn Hyun-bom. And the cross deflected behind for a corner off the head of Park Jin-suk.
Well, didn't he do well to make that chance? Courtney Perkins. Beautiful little nutmeg But he's got to deliver from here. You've got time, you've got opportunity, your head's up. You've got to find a teammate. He's been very strong tonight, Park, the Jeonbuk skipper.
It's going to have to be so again from the corner. Douglas Costa leaves this time for Anthony Caceres. May well be work short. Here is Costa. Finds the angle for the cross, and Sydney will get another go, courtesy of Jeonbuk.
As we saw from the free kick for Sydney's goal, and we've just seen it again there, Costa gets so much work on the ball with that left foot. He just needs the narrowest of corridors. And then the curl is wicked.
Here he goes again, he finds the angle. Again, just a little too flat with the cross. Back with Leo Senna. Here's Caceres. Costa. Oh, that's beautiful footwork from Costa. He had the ball on a string there, Douglas Costa. Courtney Perkins. And it might break here for Klimala. Scores! That one's going to count. Is that the moment that Sydney seal their passage into the semi-finals? And they can thank the magician that is Douglas Costa. That was mesmerising from the Brazilian.
Well, this is what a football team gets when they secure the signature of one of the great players of the generation. And make no mistake, Douglas Costa is in that discussion. It just mesmerises people. And as much as he looks like he's out of the contest, then he dishes up the no-look pass. And to his enormous credit, Jordan Courtney Perkins, last time he was in that part of the football ground, he hashed his cross. This time with a little bit more settled approach. The ball finds its way to Klimala, who very cannily, once he gets possession, just tees himself up. Beautiful little scoop and the hook finish to give Sydney the equaliser on the night. And they skip one clear, another one clear on aggregate. That's a big moment for Klimala, an even bigger moment for Sydney FC.
Well, Patrick Klimala had one ruled out in the first half, and not to be denied on that occasion. Now, whilst you're watching the replay of that equalising goal for Sydney, Jeonbuk have made a couple of changes. Off have gone Choi Chul-sun and Lee Yong-jae. And on in their place are Jin Tae-ho and Kang Sang-yoon. And here is Kang Sang-yoon on the ball, finding one of the earliest substitutes, Jeonbuk, who thought he got Jeonbuk level in the tie with that strike that was ruled out for offside. How a game of football can have so many twists and turns over two legs.
Crazy, really. I mean, it's just been a compelling quarter-final tie. Semi-final in the Eastern region, but quarter-final of Asian Champions League 2. Brave, tough comeback from Jeonbuk to get back to 2-2 on aggregate, and down 2-0 on the night. Sydney have found some mojo and have restored their 2-goal buffer on aggregate. And it's the man in possession now, Douglas Costa, who's done the trick. A wicked free kick to give Sydney's first, and he set up that attack for Sydney's second. But Jeonbuk will come again.
They are back where they started, though, in terms of tonight. Still needing 2 goals to force extra time. They've got a player down, hurt at the moment as well. And Jong Byung-gwa. It's a yellow card for Ryan Grant. So both Grants for Sydney now in the book. And we've got just over a quarter of an hour to go. Jin Tae-ho brought down. Freshly arrived substitute, or one of them. That's the moment that caused a bit of discomfort for Jeonbuk, but he's back up and about now. Ready to go for this free kick if Jeonbuk score it again here. And this tie is back in the balance. What a seesaw battle this has proved to be. It's going to be Kim Jin-gyu's free kick. Plenty of flight, and Harrison Devishmere's with a little bit of a dive for the camera at the end, perhaps. But he had the angles covered.
Just making sure. They've been very good from set pieces, Jeonbuk, tonight. Not so on that occasion. It's such a clever bit of play from Patrick Klimala, who's really hitting his goal-scoring straps for Sydney. In front of the supporter group, the Cove, but it's the maestro, Douglas Costa. Mears can put his hand up as a major contributor for his team so far as well. Still 15 plus stoppages to play, and there should be a few minutes at least of stoppages added on.
Well, the good thing, I guess, for Sydney is that Jeonbuk will have to commit numbers forward. That's a great bit of skill from Adrian Segicic. Force wide, though. Here's Courtney Perkins. Sydney know they've been in a real battle tonight, and it's far from over. But to acquire a scalp of this magnitude for Sydney would be something else, and that was something else from Costa. He's pulling out all the tricks. Again, another little no-look pass for Caceres. Here's Segicic. Weaving his way through and finding the angle for the shot, but straight at Kim Jong-un.
As soon as Segicic got that ball on the edge of the penalty area, he could just envisage a goal. He's been in great scoring form off the bench as well. But Costa quiet, a little bit heavy-legged in the first half. The second half, he's shown great leadership and he's mesmerising the Jeonbuk defence.
That is why, in A-League terms, and if you do get the right marquee, they really make a difference. There he is again, making a block tackle this time. Yeah, by Alex Grant, so then a bit of friendly fire to the face of Jordan Courtney Perkin, who's just going to need a moment. Patrick Klimala's gone down as well. Wasn't expecting that one. Courtney Perkins.
Well, there's no attention for Klimala. It looks like it's going to be a straight change.
Jaden Kucharski to provide some fresh energy, but Patrick Klimala again worked hard. One goal disallowed in the first half. And another excellent finish to square matters up tonight. And perhaps takes me through to a first ever semi-final.
Well, such has been his goal scoring this season. A bit of a quiet patch, couple of quiet patches domestically, but really hit his straps. The second goal for his team tonight, and a significant section of the very good turnout here at the Sydney Football Stadium tonight rise to their feet to applaud the pole.
Should be the goalkeepers. Just over 7,000 in attendance. Of course, there was only 2,500 last week in Yongin, Jeonbuk's temporary stadium. Good turn by Segicic. Good ball. I was going to say good ball by Holman, but in the end, just over the head of Courtney Perkins.
It was a good idea, but he was off balance. Still, we haven't turned for 80 minutes yet, Simon. There's still more than enough time for Jeonbuk, if they believe. Sydney have managed so far to put the fire blanket on Jeonbuk, and certainly since the second goal they've barely been able to lay a glove on Sydney, but that can all change very quickly.
Republic clubs with such a proud record, of course, in Asia. Sydney have got to be careful here, but they played through the first part of that press with ease. And Caceres races clear. Segicic in front of him. Advantage played by the referee. Segicic with the cutback. Kucharski. Courtney Perkins. Segicic. Oh, that's going to be a penalty for Sydney. Nana Boateng going through the back of Adrian Segicic. And with 10 minutes to go, this now the chance for Sydney to set the seal on their semi-final spot.
Well, this is disappointing. It's a clear penalty. They'll claim he won the ball, but he's taken from behind, Segicic out. Put it this way, having given the penalty, there's no way known there's going to be enough evidence to overturn that. And it's disappointing for Nana Boateng. But tonight he's been outstanding for his team. But that's an error in judgment. Penalty yet to be converted, of course, but it's Douglas Costa who stands over the ball.
Well, he's been so instrumental for Sydney FC in the second half. For Jeonbuk, it all rests on Kim Jong-hoon. If he doesn't save this one, then surely Jeonbuk are done for. Nana Boateng still in deep discussion with the referee as to the whys and wherefores of the penalty award. He still doesn't agree, but it doesn't matter. One stroke of the Brazilian's left foot could send Sydney into uncharted territory. In front of the Cove, who've got the phones out in expectation. Big kick this. The stutter run up, and Douglas Costa surely sends Sydney FC through. What a second half performance by the Brazilian. That's why marquee men matter.
Well, we've now turned to the last 10 minutes. And for the stats, it's another assist for Jordan Courtney Perkins, feeding the ball in for Segicic, who's brought down by Boateng. And then it's Douglas Costa, who has turned the game on its head in this second half to add a goal to his collection for the evening.
Alex Grant wasn't even watching, but he needed to have no doubts. Douglas Costa takes the acclaim from the Cove. He was really the reason why Sydney managed to stay alive in the last phase against Bangkok United. And he's done it again from the penalty spot this time. Jeonbuk making two late changes. Kim Yong-bin has replaced the captain, Park Jun-sub, and Kwon Chang-hoon is on for Jong Byung-gwan on the right-hand side of the attack. But is it too late now for Jeonbuk? It would appear so, Andy.
Well, we've turned for 83 minutes. There will be, I reckon, some decent stoppage time because there've been a couple of long injury delays. The referee has taken up a fair bit of time himself explaining rules to players. Boateng going from distance, trying to atone for his concession of the penalty, but Ishmir's not to be outfoxed on that occasion. And talking about game-turning moments, just to repeat, a minute and a half into the second half, Devon Ishmir's facing Sydney facing oblivion, I reckon. If they go 3 down, he pulls off an incredible save.
And also you can add Ahn Hyun-bom's goal was ruled out for offside as well. That would have made the tie level again. Here's the late substitutes, Kwon Chang-hoon, who gets a corner off Alex Grant. score now, and it really would be a Grand Slam finale for Jeonbuk.
They're going to have to, if they're going to turn this over, they're running out of time, they're going to have to score off this or the next attack or two. They can't wait.
Kwon Chang-hoon's cross into the box, steered clear by Joel King.
Kwon not able to deliver what was needed on that occasion, just off the bench, and won the corner but couldn't deliver something of menace.
Still trying to thread the passes, Jeonbuk, and there's a little coming together of legs with Park Jae-yong and Joel King, but referee turning away, not remotely interested in awarding a spot kick for Jeonbuk. They will keep probing the visitors. They've played some good stuff at times tonight. Here's Kim Jin-yu, but just got away from him. Leo Sena with some really good defensive work. And then he's chopped down again for the umpteenth time tonight. And there's a bit of back chat from Kim Tae-hyun. And we finally get to see a card for a Jeonbuk player. Kim Tae-hyun believes that Leo Sena's made a real meal of that.
Well, Leo Sena's views on it are pretty clear.
Well, I think it's definitely a foul. I've sort of got a little bit of sympathy with Kim Tae-hyun's claim that too much was made of it, but I'm surprised that the reaction didn't lead to a yellow card.
Well, he's been very forbearing, the ref, on those moments.
Now, standing ovation for Douglas Costa. And why not? What a performance second half.
Yeah, well, just enjoy it while you can. For the locals, Patrick Klimala got a significant standing ovation, but Douglas Costa's bettered him.
Just to echo Andy's thoughts, for those watching in Australia, get out and see Douglas Costa whilst you're still able to. He is one hell of a player. So was he, in fairness. But his team is really up against it now with less than 5 minutes of the regulation 90 to play. And it's been quite the comeback from Sydney FC. 2-0 down, remember, at half-time. And really staring down the barrel of going out in Asia again.
No, and flat as attack. Defensively, they were so passive. And that malaise continued into the very early moments of the second half. And that chance that Devon Ishmeer's miraculously saved. But they've found themselves in the second half, Sydney. Jeonbuk thereafter without an answer. And not many in the world of football, Simon, have been able to find the answer to Douglas Costa.
Here's Boateng. Corey Holman. Try to check the rung of Kang Sang-yoon. This is Kwon Chang-hoon. Four waiting in the penalty area. And Holman is getting a bit too tight on his opponent. Free kick.
Well, interestingly, the ref was reaching for his pocket as Corey Holman had a handful of shirt on the first breakaway. And I thought he'd have missed the yellow card now once the advantage had broken down. And indeed, it was the same player who committed the foul. But he's had a real reticence to reach for the pocket, the referee. Corey Holman was a clear candidate there.
Well, Jeonbuk need a goal. And they need it soon. Kwon Chang-hoon to deliver the free kick. They've got plenty of bodies in attack, and their fans away behind that goal to our right. It's a nice idea, wasn't it? Kim Jin-gyu just fouling Corey Holman in the process of trying to make that space for himself. Sort of sums it up for Jeonbuk. Gwangju will be the only representative from the Korean Republic left if it remains this way. They've had a team in the semi-finals of Asian competition in every season since 2019, the Korean Republic. Of course, their clubs have won 12 Champions League elite titles, more than any other country in the Asian Confederation. Jeonbuk have contributed 2 of those championships, all of which makes the scalp that Sydney may be about to claim that much more impressive.
Yeah, they don't come much better in Asian competition than Jeonbuk, and notwithstanding their current difficulties, but it's still one of the massive clubs in Asia. And Sydney are on the verge, 6 minutes of stoppage time, of sending them packing from this season's Champions League 2 competition.
Into the first of those minutes. Lion City Sailors of Singapore awaiting in the last 4. A team that contains an Australian player as well in Bailey Wright. He will probably be keen to face a club from his home country in the semis. Piache getting a whack to the back of the head. Still down on the turf. Seemed to be an awful lot in it. Clash with Kim Yong-bin. Off the shoulder, if you don't mind, of Leo Senna. He meant it too. Here's Anas Wahid. Kucharski. Oh, you could see what he was trying to do, link up with Segacic.
Yeah,
but
saw it, didn't he?
Couldn't execute it.
Saw it, just couldn't get the contact. It was beautiful from Leo Senna. A bit of foot volley there.
Mistake by the goalkeeper, could open the door again. Kim Jong-un forced to atone for giving away possession to Sydney. Here's Alex Grant, whose goal really got Sydney moving in the second half. Seems a long time ago now, that first goal for Sydney, but it came as late as the 59th minute, Andy. Sydney were within half an hour of having to go at least to extra time.
Yeah, they just had gained momentum from then. And probably from Jeonbuk's viewpoint, just when that goal went in, confidence demonstrably ebbed away. Here's the pass from Kucharski, just didn't get the angle. It was a good run from Segacic. This is a good shot from Segacic. Beaten away by Kim. But the Grant goal, the Alex Grant goal, delivered to him by his central defensive partner Ryan Grant. Grant to Grant. Granted Sydney a new lease on life, which they've fully maximised.
We are now past the midway point of those 6 extra minutes. Jeonbuk needing 3 goals. Doesn't seem very likely. It's going to be a Sydney FC throw. What will this result mean to Sydney FC as a club, Andy? They were set up back in 2005 with nights like these very much in mind. They've had to wait an awful long time to get to a semi-final.
Yeah, well, since the club was created, as the A-League was constructed, it was Sydney's aim to be the biggest and the best in Asia. Of course, claim like that does confront serious headwinds when you're up against some of these clubs in Asia. It's taken them 20 years to get to this point. It doesn't mean the dream to reach that title and that status is null and void. but it's indicative of the strength and the growing strength of football in Asia.
Two of the big sharks in there, part of the draw, are about to disappear. Jeonbuk here tonight, and Sanfrecce Hiroshima already gone, who of course finished on top of Sydney in the group stage.
Another foul on Leo Senna. That must be double figures. But the revamped, and I think the corrective surgery the AFC has done on the Champions League formats, I think, is excellent. It's working really well. The Central Coast Mariners' success in the AFC Cup last year has, I think, given new impetus to clubs in the A-League in particular. And Sydney, having won the Australia Cup, qualifying for ACL2, then did some serious recruiting. This is a big tournament for Sydney.
And with the greatest respect to the Lion City Sailors, they probably would have been expected to face Sanfrecce Hiroshima. They can probably now see a path through to the final, but anyway, that's to come in a few weeks' time. For now, they are almost there. Just a matter of seconds before Abdullah Almari makes it official. Leo Senna certainly played his parts tonight. And that is that. Sydney FC into the semi-finals of an Asian competition for the very first time as they complete the job in Australia. Jeonbuk, twice champions of Asia, are vanquished and left to concentrate on domestic matters. They can scarcely believe it. But Sydney FC taking a step closer to emulating the Central Coast Mariners last season, creating a bit of history into the bargain. What a comeback by Sydney in the second half. They trailed 2-0 at half-time, thanks to a John Jinwoo brace. He was then only denied a hat-trick by a brilliant save by Harrison Devonish-Mears. And then back-roared Sydney. Douglas Costa inspired. Alex Grant made it 2-1 on the night. Patrick Klimala squared it up at 2-2. And then after substitute, Adrian Segicic had been fouled by Nana Boateng. Douglas Costa, who played a central part in that comeback, stroked home the penalty. Sydney win it 3-2 on the night and 5-2 on aggregate. Sydney